When N.W.A. first dropped their album, Straight Outta Compton in 1988, it heralded a revolution in hip-hop music. With their violently charged lyrics and anti-establishment attitude they brought to white audiences across America, many of the beloved staples that brought gangsta rap worldwide notoriety we see today. The group called it reality rap for its unabashed image of what was happening inside the streets of Compton. Songs like Straight Outta Compton and F the Police protested police brutality and described inner-city youth, and in their march to send a message, earned a label from the N.W.A. as the world's most dangerous group. Co-founding Ruthless Records with manager Jerry Heller, the group's creative side was helmed by rapper Ice Cub, who co-wrote more than half the songs recorded on the album, and producer Dr. Dre, whose sample-heavy horn blasts and funk riffs would prove exemplary for years to come. Despite slim radio play beyond the Los Angeles area, the album went platinum, selling 1 million copies and earning top spots on Billboard charts. Rap author and record label chief Bill Adler said about the record, "It was urgent and artful and sent rap in new directions. The records were like concept albums in the 60s designed in absolute genius fashion." Their continued success seemed inevitable, but in December 1989, Ice Cube had become frustrated, citing Jerry Heller had shortened him over royalties. In an August 9, 2015 interview with Collective State TV, Heller disputed these accusations, stating,
"It's really a joke in this day and age for people to think that you can steal money in the record business. Yeah. It's not possible." Yeah. So anyone that even would believe something like that, it's ridiculous.
In the same interview, Heller brings up the fact that no lawsuit ever took part as proof of his dishonesty and deceit. However, in the summer of 1989, Ice Cube filed a private lawsuit against Heller, which was later settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. DJ Yella, in an August 8, 2021 interview with DJ Vlad, confirmed of Heller's double dipping.
You're getting paid off of two ends. Right. You're getting 20% of the group, and you're getting 20% of the label.
N.W.A. affiliate, the DOC, spoke on June 24, 2022 in an interview with Hip Hop DX. Both Easy and N.W.A. records had already been out and sold at least 1 million copies. So where'd all that money go? I'm sure that's what they were thinking, and everybody else wanted that money. So they signed it and took that check. But Cube was adamant that he wasn't about to be asked. He wanted to know where the business was, and to his credit, he stepped out on his own and made it do what it do. Really, when you think about it, that's a seminal moment, because Cube's leaving was a precursor to everybody else. I mean, it just showed that both Jerry Heller and Easy just had a lack of vision, because you had it all and let it get away like that. Ice Cube also spoke of doing what he felt best for his career, and felt the group's lack of business acumen and insight to what Heller was doing was enough for him to depart from the group. "I was nervous about leaving the group, but I did what I had to do. I had no other option. It was either stay and know you're getting out some money, or leave and try to start a career from there. To be honest, I'd rather be broke than be in a major group and not be getting paid right." In the 2017 HBO docuseries, The Defiant Ones, Dr. Dre explains the situation. "Suge took my contract to a guy named Dick Griffey. He started telling me I should be getting this amount of money and this amount of points for each record, and you're only getting this. So I'm like, okay. Went back to the studio not knowing if Easy knows about it or not. And Easy is just going crazy. Cube this, Cube that, and all of a sudden it turned into business. It turned into pressure. The pressure by the media and by Cube's departure had mounted for N.W.A. Their anti-establishment attitude and uncompromising attitude was the creative pulse that Cube generated. MC Ren told that,
After Cube left, it was like, did 100 miles and running. Everybody was like, wondering could we still do a record or whatever without Cube.
At that point, the relationship between Ice Cube and N.W.A. had soured. Driven to go solo by monetary disputes, Cube then recorded and released his debut solo album, America's Most Wanted, a seminal album that evolved the rapper's controversial lyrics into a message more politically engaged, tackling topics such as drug addiction, structural racism, and inner-city violence. Not only was it critically successful, but selling over 1 million copies signaled Cube had learned success outside his former group. No animosity was present in Cube's new album, and as Yella notes, the group departed for other reasons.
It wasn't the group itself. The group was never mad at each other. I don't care what people say. We never had argument, never had problems. There's always somebody on the outside looking over the shoulders, what they can get out of it.
Seeing their former member embark on a solo career did not sit well with them, because on August 14, 1990, N.W.A. struck first with their EP titled 100 Miles and Running. In the title track, Dr. Dre raps, "Started with 5 and yo, one couldn't take it, so now it's 4 cause the 5th couldn't make it." And in the song Real Niggas, which would eventually find placement on their album Is For Life, the crew hurled a full front assault at their former member. Now how the fuck you think a rap will last, with your ass saying shit that is said in the past? Yo, be original, your shit is sloppy, get off the you motherfucking carbon copy. And we started out with too much cargo, so I'm glad we got rid of Benedict Arnold. A skit titled Message to B.A. was also introduced on the album as to prevent any confusion to who their target was. The intro to this skit would eventually find itself sampled in the beginning of Cube's Retaliation, No Vaseline. Shortly after the diss, tensions rose higher when in a 1990 episode of Pump It Up, journalist Dee Barnes combined interviews of N.W.A. and Ice Cube. The video was spliced so that the already uneasy tension between both camps was magnified, with Cube directly dissing N.W.A.
I got all suckers 100 miles and running.
The video also shows Cube mocking the DOC's voice, a raspy inflection he endured after a near-fatal vehicle accident. Barnes, then just an up-and-coming reporter, came under executive pressure to sensationalize the group's disagreement. Personal beef. Let's milk this for what it is. That was their mentality. Sensationalism. I didn't know there was still war, internal struggles within the group. The aired segment prompted a drunken Dr. Dre to confront Dee Barnes and became famously known for Case of Assault, where lawsuits and many regrets followed. In a February 1991 interview with MTV, N.W.A. renounced both the journalist and Ice Cube, citing that there was no longer any ego tripping. In the same interview, Eazy-E reiterated the group had been better off without former member Ice Cube. Ice Cube responded to the group's diss track with his own, titled Jackin' for Beats. Ice Cube pitches a few incendiary remarks to his former crew. And if I jack you and you keep coming, I have you marks 100 miles and running. N.W.A.'s ambition to prove themselves and retaliate against their former compatriot were proved not relent. They went on to record and release Always Into Something, with Dre raps, and so on, let the flow on, because I need something to go off on. The motherfucking DRE serving the death wish, so I'ma hit you like this. Early in the morning, hop into the B-ends. I got 44 ways of getting paid. Sitting in my lap as I roll off the Compton blocks. To scoop up rim, I heard shot. 1, 2, 3, then I seen a hop in the fence and it was written on the motherfucking trigger. He got in the bins and said, Dre, I was speaking to your bitch O'Shea. Meanwhile, internal disputes between group members loomed and threatened to sever the relationship. Money disputes arose, with MC Ren recalling, I remember us being in the studio and Dre was trying to talk to E about the money, and E would always be like, talk to Jerry, but Dre didn't want to talk to Jerry. Then, in October 1991, Ice Cube dropped his second solo album, Death Certificate. In it, he unleashed what is now considered one of the most legendary and brutal diss tracks in hip-hop history. No one was safe from Cube's seething scourge. He ultimately set the benchmark for every following artist seeking to decimate their opponent into long-forgotten obscurity. In it, Cube raps, I started off with too much cargo, dropped 4 niggas, now I'm making all the dough. Yellow boys on your team, so you're losing. Ayo, Dre, stick to producing. Calling me Arnold, but you been a Eazy-E saw your ass and went in it quick. You got jealous when I got my own company, but I'm a man and nobody humping me. As Robert Blair writes, 30 years later, the aftershock of Cube's No Vaseline is akin to the lingering effects of a nuclear fallout. N.W.A. did not respond. In a 2018 interview with Unique Access Entertainment, MC Ren attributed the group's ongoing disrepair as a primary contribution to their lack of response.
We never was like, we gonna do a record on it. We was doing For Life album, and Drake, you know, came up with the idea to do a commercial, like a skit or whatever. And he did that skit or whatever, and that was it. But it was like, nah, we wasn't in there like, we finna do a diss record. Shortly after that, when Dre left, that was it. And I knew when Dre left, you know, we can't do a record without Dre. You feel what I'm saying? And he wanted to bring in like other producers to try to, and I was like, man, that's not gonna work.
The DOC, N.W.A.'s chief wordsmith after Cube, admitted no hard feelings came over him when he heard the record.
I rode with that, you know what I mean? That was the shit. It was a great record, and I loved it.
You didn't get mentioned on No Vaseline?
No, because Cube knew, like, you're not a part of that, even though you're a part of that, because I'm just doing my job. All those guys are old friends. I was just the guy that came in to help manifest the dream, if you will.
DJ Yella also implicated the good-natured jabs they threw at one another.
And I told him before shooting the scene for the movie, he called me that night. He said, so what really happened in the studio about the song? I said, you got us. Yeah. That's all it was. It wasn't no, we gonna go over here and kill him, break his... Nah, it just, he got us.
Not long after the song's release, Dre left the group due to lack of monetary compensation. The skirmish between him and Eazy-E would ensue another saga where the group would ultimately fracture until Eazy-E's untimely death in 1995. Heller, who'd been the target of anti-Semitic death threats in the diss track, wrote in his 2006 memoir, Ruthless, that Ice Cube was not anti-Semitic, but had exploited his African-American prejudices. Heller wrote his relationship between him and Eazy-E as portrayed by Cube was woefully misguided and dangerous. He espoused similar sentiments years later on White Label Radio show, stating,
when I look at it clinically, it's probably the most racist, anti-Semitic piece of literature that I've ever heard. I think it's awful, man.
So you still would not sit down and have a dinner with Ice Cube? If he called you up right now and said, hey, Jerry, let's go to Nate Nell's, our, you know, and our Cantors and have a sandwich, you wouldn't do it?
Not a chance.